Okay, we will call this meeting. This is the 21st meeting of the Village Board of Trustees, the Village of Depew, February 13th, 2023, and it's 7:05. The pledge by Trustee Kasevich.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just remain standing for a quick prayer. As we gather here today, we pray that we're ever mindful of opportunities to render our service to fellow citizens and to our community. Let us continue to strive to make a better world. We are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties, for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. Amen. Notification of fire exits.
The emergency exit is located to the left and to the rear of the room. In the event of an alarm or emergency, please move in an orderly fashion to the exit and evacuate the building.
Roll call.
Trustee Adolf?
Here.
Trustee Ziamba?
Here.
Trustee Kasevich?
here.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Here.
Mayor Peterson?
Here. First item, approve the village board meeting minutes of the January 23rd, 2023 meeting.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion to move for its adoption. To approve the village board meeting minutes for January 23rd, 2023.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So, limited crowd tonight. So, public comment on the agenda items only, and we'll go through each of them right now. And if you have a comment on any of them, please step to the mic, state your name and your address, and we'll do our best to address it. First up tonight is adopt local law number 1, 2023, which was the adjustment in the LoSAP program. And as we talked at the public hearing a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, that the LoSAP program is a length of service award program for our volunteer firefighters. Currently, the program maxes out at 30 years of service as a volunteer. Currently, the fire department has 8 members that have maxed out their 30 years but are still active with the fire department. And for their time and effort, they should be allowed to accumulate additional years of service. So this will change it from 30 years to 50 years. This is not changing the amount per month that they get compensated once they get to past age 62, but it will be a benefit, and it could very well be looked at favorably by somebody who perhaps want to be retained as a member, as more so than somebody just coming on. As you come on as an 18 or 19-year-old young firefighter, looking to age 62 is quite a ways down the road. But this should help retain members who have served a lot of time for the village. Next up is appoint a part-time electrical department employee. Our department, electrical department generally works Saturdays and Sundays. They may here or there have a task during the week, but they're generally all part-timers. We had lost a couple last year. George has been on the lookout, and he found an individual, John Alba. How do you spell that? A-L-B-A.
E-A-S-F is the correct spelling.
I hear he is very talented and brings many years of experience. Basically, he's looking for a part-time job in his older time. He just moved to Western New York, I guess.
That's correct.
Yep, master electrician. So I think That's a bargain at $20 an hour. Permission for short-term additional responsibilities for the mayor. So, 2 weeks ago, yesterday, was passing of our village administrator. And she had a lot of responsibilities, and it's becoming very evident. However, one of the things is, although I am recognized by the banks to be able to sign checks and so forth, I need the village board's approval on which to do so. So this is a short-term solution while we interview for a new village administrator, which will allow me to sign checks and contracts and sort of a catch-all here, any other activities that the administrator would normally deal with. I'm certainly not looking for any more responsibility. It could very well be that what we look at going forward after we hire somebody is to have a provision to appoint an acting village administrator in the event something either not as tragic as this, but maybe could be a long-term health issue or something of that nature. So, but this will get us through the next couple of weeks as we interview candidates. Terry had put together this modify the budget. She's already been eyeballed these things shortly after the last meeting. So there's 2 items on here that we make a budget adjustment. And just about the budget, we come to realize today that Terry has been working on the budget had been working on the budget for a couple of months. We had our department head meetings just 4 weeks ago. So she's inputted a lot of the requests that came about from those meetings, as well as what normally would be automatic adjustments like payroll and so forth. So I don't think we're in horrible position when it comes to the tentative budget, which is due on March 20th, but there's still some work to be done. Approve election inspectors' compensation adjustments. So when 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we did the election poll workers resolution, listed them out, and we looked at the amount of money. In fact, Trustee Zimba pointed out that we were woefully underpaying those people. So these 2 numbers here, 185 for the co-chairman, and there's 2 of them, and the 165 for the poll workers. This accounts for working a 9.5 to 10 hour day, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 11. 11, yeah. Next up, authorize the deputy village clerk to advertise for a public hearing for local law number 2 of 2023. And this is another incentive issue coming from the governor's office, which is for volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers to exempt a portion of their assessed value on their property. I believe it's 10% of their assessed value. So we'll have a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight on that. Second resolution tonight to authorize a village clerk, deputy village clerk, to advertise for a public hearing. And this one is on the demolition of 73 Main Street, Depew, just a stone's throw away from here. This has to be done in a public forum in case anybody has any interest or ties to that, correct?
Right, it's a due process concern to advertise for public hearing. The notice of demolition will be served on the property owner in the next week or so. And they have any objection or plan to remedy this derelict property, they should come forward and address it to the board. Otherwise, the board will likely vote to demolish.
Okay, next up is permission to sign a service agreement. This is so that I can sign to authorize the service agreement with the Burke Group for services relating to GASB 75. has to do with post-retirement health care plans. Next is permission to post-date a waive of permit fee. They had somebody new working at St. Martha's Parish, I guess. They needed a sign to advertise, I believe, Lent services. Jackie, do you know?
I don't know.
It was for school,
School?
Yeah.
School, and, no, I think they're gonna use that for the fish fries,
probably the
too, I
fish
think.
fry also, but right now it's
Yeah.
Right?
So I know they came to us, they came to Don, or Gene, I don't remember which, but it was like a day before, and it was after we had the meeting, so this is actually backdating it. Well, we did check with each of the trustees, and they were fine. Next, resolution is permission to install streetlights. So one of the issues that came out of last meeting was from the residents from the Middlesex Road area of the village, and the one gentleman who sat 2 seats away from Dave over there mentioned that there was only one street light on Middlesex. I did take a ride that night to the street, and sure enough, there's only one light. One pretty bright 4,500 lumen LED light. But there was a pole that was a little closer to one of the end streets, across from your dad's house, and just across the street from 52 Middlesex. So I inquired about what it would take to put a LED light up on there. And at the same time, I went around the block, and there's a pole there too, without an LED light, so we're gonna do 2 at one time here. It's minimal expense to add them to our inventory. There's some wire costs for one of them, and the brackets are free. It's just a monthly fee for it, so. This is at least a step to help the residents of Middlesex and actually Arlington Place. And the paperwork is right behind there. But he needed to have this in a resolution in order for NICEAG to move forward. So those 10 items, if anybody in the audience has any questions, we'll be happy to address them.
I hear that John Alba Fellow has family that's committed to the village of Depew as well. I really like it here.
Yes, he does. That's okay, you're not voting on it, so. Anything, Paul? You good? All right, let's move along then. So first up is adopt local law number 1, 2023. And Andrew, you got the honors tonight.
All right. Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas the eligible voting residents of the Village of Depew approved a referendum to establish a defined benefit length of service award program, a LOSAP, for active volunteer firefighters of the Depew Fire Department in accordance with Article 11-A of the New York State General Municipal Law, GML. Whereas the village is the LOSAP sponsor and program administrator. Whereas GML 216 authorizes the village as LOSAP sponsor to amend the LOSAP. Whereas an active volunteer firefighter member currently earns a $20 monthly service award for each year of service credit payable at the entitlement age of 62. Whereas a participating active volunteer firefighter obtains a non-forfeitable right to a service award upon earning 5 years of service credit, attaining the entitlement age of 62, or upon death or total and permanent disability. Whereas under the current LOSAP provisions, the maximum number of years of service credit an active volunteer firefighter may earn is 30 years, which represents a maximum monthly service award of $600. Whereas a year of service credit is earned for each calendar year during which an active volunteer firefighter earns 50 or more points. Points are awarded for activities such as attending training sessions, participating in drills, responding to calls, being an officer, and more. Whereas Chapter 400 of the laws of 2021 amend GML 219 to allow a LOSAP sponsor to extend the maximum number of years of service credit for which a participating active volunteer firefighter may earn a service award to a maximum of 50 years. Whereas the Board of Trustees desires to amend the LoSAP to extend the maximum years of service credit for which the participating active volunteer can earn a service award from 30 to 50 years. And whereas this amendment is consistent with the intent of the LoSAP to recruit, retain, and reward volunteer firefighters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew, Towns of Cheektowaga and Lancaster, County of Erie, State of New York, as authorized by Article 11-A of GML, approves an amendment to the LoSAP pursuant to Chapter 400 of the Laws of 2021 to extend the maximum years of service credit that may be earned under its LoSAP from 30 to 50 years, and therefore the maximum projected monthly service award from $600 to $1,000, effective January 1, 2024. The normal funding contribution for the LoSAP is currently estimated to be about $280,000. Of this total contribution, the component attributable to each participating volunteer firefighter that earns service credit averaging about $1,700. As a result of this amendment, the annual contribution requirement will increase by approximately $25,000 to an estimated about $305,000. The contribution per year of service credit earned will increase to an average of $1,750. The village pays an additional $10,500 annual in actual administrative and payment processing expenses, which will not change as a result of this amendment. Be it further resolved that this resolution is subject to a mandatory referendum of qualified voters of the Village of Depew, and said referendum shall be held on March 21st, 2023, between the hours of 12 p.m. and 9 p.m. prevailing time at 85 Manitow Street, Depew, New York 14043. Be it further resolved that the proposition placed before the qualified voters read as follows. The Board of Trustees of the Village of Depew, Towns of Cheektowaga and Lancaster, County of Erie, State of New York, in a resolution adopted February 13th, 2023, approved an amendment of the Defined Benefit Length of Service Award Program, administered by the village and established for active volunteer firefighters of the Depew Fire Department, to extend the maximum years of service credit for which the participating active volunteer firefighter may earn a service award from 30 to 50 years, and therefore the maximum projected monthly service award from $600 to $1,000, effective January 1st, 2024. The normal funding contribution for the program is currently about $280,000, which includes an average contribution for each firefighter that earns service credit of approximately $1,700. As a result of this amendment, the annual required contribution is expected to increase by $25,000 to approximately $3,005. $305. Thank you.
$305,000.
$305,000. And the average contribution for each participating volunteer firefighter that earns service credit will also increase about $1,750. The village pays additional actual administrative and payment processing costs of about $10,500, which will not change as a result of the amendment. Shall the stated resolution of the Board of Trustees be approved? Be it further resolved that the LoSAP shall continue to be administered by the village and that all other provisions of the LoSAP shall remain the same.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolph?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Pasevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Approved.
Next up is appoint part-time electrical department employee pursuant to Section 4-400 of Village Law. I, Mayor Kevin Peterson, hereby appoint John Alba to the position of part-time employee in the electrical department at an hourly rate of $20. The appointment was acted upon in the following manner by the Board of Trustees. Need a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Carried.
Next up, permission for short-term additional responsibilities for the mayor.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, Mayor Kevin Peterson is authorized to take on the duties of the village administrator in case of an absence of the village administrator. This would include the signing of checks or any other activities that the administrator would normally deal with.
I second the vote.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
I'll abstain from that vote.
Yep. Approved.
Okay. Item number 4, approve to modify the 2022-2023 budget.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, the administrator is hereby authorized to modify the 2022-2023 budget in the following manner. 1. 10.4.2770, $19,800. 10.5.1130.210, $19,800. 2. 10.4.2770, $14,600. And 10.5.5110.481, $14,600.
I second the motion.
Need a roll call vote, please?
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 5, approve election inspectors' compensation adjustments.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas the Village of Depew Mayor and the Board of Trustees desire to adjust the compensation for the election inspectors for the Village of Depew elections. Be it resolved that the new compensation for the election inspectors for the Village of Depew elections that covers a full 11-hour shift are hereby approved. Co-chairman, $185. Poll worker, $165.
I second the motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
And carried.
Resolution number 6, authorize deputy village clerk to advertise for a public hearing for local law number 2 of 2023.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, the Deputy Village Clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for a public hearing to discuss the enacting of Local Law Number 2 of 2023 for the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers tax exemption. The public hearing will take place at 85 Manitow Street, Depew, New York, 14043 in the council chambers on February 27th, 2023.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carried. Resolution number 7, authorize deputy village clerk to advertise for a public hearing.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, the Deputy Village Clerk is hereby authorized to advertise for a public hearing to discuss the unsafe conditions and property owner's refusal to comply. Now requires the demolition of 73 Main Street, Depew, New York, 14043. The public hearing will take place at 85 Manitow Street, Depew, New York, 14043 in the council chambers on February 27th, 2023.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Resolution number 8, permission to sign a service agreement.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Be it resolved, Mayor Kevin Peterson is authorized to sign the service agreement with Burke Group for services regarding the GASB 75 valuation services for their post-retirement health care plans.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
Carried.
Number 9, permission to waive the permit fee for St. Martha's Parish.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas St. Martha Parish, 10 French Road, Depew, New York, 14043, has requested permission to waive the sign permit fee for the portable temporary sign at OLBS School, St. Martha's Parish. Now, therefore, be it resolved that permission is hereby granted to the St. Martha's Parish, 10 French Road, Depew, New York, 14043, to waive the sign permit fee for the portable temporary sign at OLBS School / St. Martha's Parish.
I second the motion.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. Resolution number 10, permission to install additional streetlights.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for its adoption. Whereas it has been brought to the attention of Mayor Kevin Peterson and the Village of Depew Board of Trustees that there is only one street light on Middlesex Drive in Depew, New York, and it has been confirmed to be true. Therefore, be it resolved, the Village of Depew will add another street light to the existing pole on Middlesex Drive, Depew, New York, and the village will incur the costs of the lights and any other associated costs that may occur. And whereas it has been brought to the attention of Mayor Kevin Peterson and the Village of Depew Board of Trustees that there needs to be another streetlight on Arlington Place in Depew, New York. Therefore, be it resolved, the Village of Depew will add another streetlight, which will be wired to on Arlington Avenue, Depew, New York. The village will incur the costs of the lights and any other associated costs that may occur.
I'll second that motion.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Adolf?
Yes.
Trustee Ziamba?
Yes.
Trustee Kisevich?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hammernick?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes.
And carried.
There are no employment applications recently taken.
Like an auctioneer.
Trying.
Item number 12, department head reports. That's for the building department, January 2023, and police, January 2023.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make a motion to approve the department head reports, building January 2023, and police January 2023, as presented.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it's carried. There's no unfinished or other business. Before we get to public concerns, we will give the floor to Elizabeth Brinkworth from Assembly Member Monica Wallace's office.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you so much, as always, for allowing me a few moments of your time. For those watching live, my name is Elizabeth Brinkworth, Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Monica Wallace. Again, our condolences to the Village of the Depew for the loss of Terry. Our thoughts have been with her family during this very difficult time. We also mourn the loss this weekend of former Supervisor Joanne Coleman. We were sad to hear of her passing as well, so we are also remembering her and the work that she did for the town of Lancaster. And our thoughts are with her family. Assemblymember Wallace is currently in Albany working on the assembly version of the budget. The governor's budget came out earlier in February, so the assembly member is currently reviewing and deliberating on that budget and will be presenting the Assembly One House budget soon. She's working very hard advocating for state dollars to come back to the 143rd District, as well as statewide programs that were not included in the budget that she feels should, that help Western New York families. On Friday, Assemblymember Wallace held a press conference to announce her latest piece of legislation. This legislation would educate young people on the mental health impacts of social media use. This legislation would create a public awareness campaign and would require K through 12 education on the negative impacts of social media, appropriate usage of social media, and resources and strategies to maintain positive mental health. Essentially, the thought behind this bill was just to educate our young ones, especially with the dangers of social media, how we can make them aware when they're online, and encourage healthy habits. Last week, myself, Assemblymember Wallace, and Commander Jim Wire of the Lancaster VFW Post 7275 visited the Cheektowaga Central School District Middle School. We saw a bunch of third graders and some eighth graders make cards for veterans, so we were happy to help them. They did a wonderful banner for Commander Wire, so we were very happy to see all of their hard work. They got to hear from Commander Wire and all the work that veterans do, why it's important to do things like cards for veterans, why we have Veterans Day. So it was wonderful to see them all come together, work on these cards, and Commander Wire is going to be delivering them to the VFW here, or excuse me, the VA here in downtown Buffalo for those who are receiving treatment. So we are excited to connect the school and Jim Wire. The kids really enjoyed it, gave them hugs. It was really cute to be a part of it. I love those events. Another group of students had visited Assemblymember Wallace in Albany. Every year, the Lancaster Youth Bureau visits her in Albany as part of the annual Youth Leadership Week. So they all tour the Assembly, learn what's going on. They go to the floor of the Assembly, and this is statewide. So it's nice to see that teenagers are engaged at the local level and state level. So we welcome them every year. Last week, Assemblymember Wallace had staff deliver pizza to the Village of Depew Police Department, Cheektowaga Police Department, and Lancaster Police Department as a thank you for their hard efforts during the blizzard. They did not go unnoticed. And lastly here, I'll end on a good note. On February 2nd was National Girls and Women's Sports Day. Every year, Assemblymember Wallace introduces a resolution in the New York State Assembly commemorating the day and recognizing just how far women and girls have come in sports since Title IX was implemented more than 50 years ago. So as always, if anyone has any questions or comments, I know we've been hearing from a lot of members in the community, which is always great. We love to hear from constituents and know that they're engaged and want to know what's going on at the state level. So if anyone always, we have our phones ready, email, and feel free to stop by the district office as well. We'll be here for you. Thank you.
So before you go, we'll, as a board, be discussing the issue with the natural gas. Other communities are passing resolutions basically not supporting the governor's thing. Do you have something you could add? I know it's sort of off the cuff, but put on record if you could, because there'll be, I know Cheektowaga is doing one tomorrow. Lancaster did it last Tuesday, and the county legislators did it a week or two ago. Anything you might be able to share as to maybe some things that we don't really know about what is behind the governor's thought?
So I think that's part of the deliberations that are going on right now behind the Assembly side, because they're allowed to introduce their version of the budget and address some of these concerns. Right now, there have been talks with natural gas leaders. I know the members had conversations. Essentially, I think what everyone's doing at this point is reviewing what the governor has proposed, but then again countering with the Assembly budget. I don't have specifics just because the Assembly budget hasn't been published yet, but we're aware of the issue. We're learning in terms of communication of utility companies. I know there's concerns about the grid. So I don't think, as I said before, the Assembly member's not looking to rush this by any means. But we've had open communication with utility companies, and we're trying to inform the public when they make phone calls at our office as well.
Has your office got conversations, because I saw in the news, about restaurant owners, people that use gas stoves, where they may make an exception for that?
My understanding is that there is an exception for industrial, Because I think that's where some of the confusion is lying, and that's what we're trying to dissect as well. There's actually a lot of exemptions that are proposed in the governor's budget in terms of like the all-electric part of it. So,
Just, you know, did that go through with the buses? That's supposed to be like 2025, right?
with the buses,
If you were to purchase, a school district purchases a new bus in 2025, it needs to be electric? Was that put through that you know of?
I would have to double check. I know
That was
that.
last year, I think.
I know our legislative director, she attended the Erie County Association of School Boards meeting, and that was one of the things they were actually talking about in terms of rolling out and seeing what electric school buses would look like in the communities. So I would have to double check in terms of if that made it through, if that's in progress, or if school districts on their own are kind of looking at things.
I think the key to know now is nothing's been approved. It's a suggestion in which
Right.
you get done with both the Senate and the Assembly, correct? As far as making adjustments or no?
So how it works is the governor put out her budget with what she proposed. The Assembly's going to put out a budget with their proposals in terms of the language, kind of looking at that green energy items and those milestones that the governor had put out. The Assembly's going to look at it, and then same with the Senate. So once everybody's budgets are released, probably towards the end of the month, they're going to deliberate, and that's when discussions are going to start, and it's going to be amended because all budgets have to look the same
Good.
by the end.
I appreciate your comments.
Of course. Happy to help. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go right around the room. Our code office, our building department, Don?
Not too much. We've got the a permit finally for the Mighty Taco that's what's going on the corner of Walden and Transits. We've got the permit for the new cell tower to replace the one that fell behind the Wegmans parking lot. Got a basket full of various permits that just came in. It's filled right up for the last couple days. I haven't got a chance to look at those yet. We are working on the demolition for 73 Main Street, obviously. And some other issues with some drainage and stuff that I've been working on with Ken at behind Campfire Grill there. Other than that, not too much.
Okay. And that segues to you, Ken, in our DPW.
Same thing. We haven't had too much going on. I'll be working on a dispatch room, trying to get much we can done there. We have a sewer issue on Donna that we've been working with our engineering department on. And that's about it for me.
Okay. Recreation, Kevin?
Just trying to sell ice, what we got left over coming up. We've been trying to, after the bill season ends, it's kind of sad. Ice has picked up, so I'm just trying to get rid of the rest of it. Also, we had our backup Zamboni come back. DPW repaired it, so now I have 2 full working Zambonis, which is very, very plus, so, and that's about it.
Open skate was good this week?
Yeah, open skate was good, and plus I have 3 open skates coming up when the kids are off school.
Good. All right. Chief Gothier from our fire department?
All right, not much this month. So far in February, 10 calls. Report for January, we had 21 calls in the month of January. And as I said the last meeting, I would have the number for 2022. We had 97 emergencies for the month of December alone. 71 of them were from the blizzard. So a grand total of 425 calls for the year of 2022.
All right. Sam from legal?
Everything's been consistent, busy. We have a couple local laws coming down the pipe. One is the firefighter exemption, which the legislature passed last year. It allows an increase of the real property tax exemption for eligible firefighters, lowers the eligibility period from 5 years to 2 years if the municipality so chooses. So that should be on the agenda for next week or next meeting. That's what we're advertising for public hearing on. We're still kind of workshopping the Airbnb law. The imminent problem appears to have subsided a bit in that the property is sold, but as we discussed in the pre-board meeting, we are still going to go forward with the plan to cite this person for the noise problems and then pass an injunction prohibiting them from having Airbnb short-term rentals of any kind at this specific property. And if nothing else, then we have a mechanism in place for when problem houses pop up in the future. We are also still looking at a more robust law on that, as well as a more robust law, or any law at all, on how to regulate cannabis shops, if at all. And that's something we're still discussing. The Article 7 cases are going well. I signed a settlement order, which is entirely prospective, which means the tax savings will be a reduction in next year's bill. We won't have to pay anything out. So no surprises. All of that's going well. And I think we have one red flag law hearing still pending that I'm working with Nate on. And that's about it.
Okay. On the other side, Captain Norick from Police Department.
Elizabeth, if you can just give Assemblymember Wallace a thank you from us for providing lunch. It was delicious. And for the Police Department, a January report, we had a total of 1,037 complaints. 82 of them were criminal. 955 were non-criminal. We had 1 stolen automobile, 1 recovered automobile, 37 PDO accidents, 5 injury accidents. We had 22 male arrests, 11 female arrests. There were 248 parking tickets issued, 237 traffic summonses issued. In the police academy, we have 3 new recruits. They're starting their 5th week today. They're all doing well. We have 1 recruit, well, 1 officer who graduated in December. He's on his 2nd phase of field training, doing well, progressing. And we have a full-time dispatcher and a part-time dispatcher that just completed their training, so that they're solo dispatchers now. They're doing well. And we have our new dispatch center, which the DPW stated they're helping with. It's progressing for a new state-of-the-art dispatch center. And that's all.
Okay. Trustee Zima.
I just want to say thank you. I do believe she's listening. Terry, everything you said, everything you did to help me get acclimated here in the village, I appreciate it. You live in our hearts, and I'll see you on the other side.
Trustee Kasevich.
Nothing from me.
Trustee Adolph.
Just we are thinking of Terry, and I definitely want to thank Melissa for stepping in to the role, as well as the remaining members in the office that I had to pick up the slack. Definitely work doesn't go unnoticed, so thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Hammond.
Well, being the last one, I too would like to say the same thing that Andrew, Jackie, and Darren said. We miss you very much, Terry.
Well, I sure did. I think I had to interact with her quite a bit, whether it's off hours. I mean, even that night that she passed, night before she passed, we were emailing back and forth up to about 7:30. And then our good friend who used to be up in the court, Jackie Fedorovich, she only spoke to him at 7:30 that night. So these things come and no prediction, no rhyme or reason sometimes. So I know how much she had on her plate because some of it's slipped onto mine in the short term. So we are going to miss Terry very much. Okay, we'll open it up to any public comment.
Oh, you're the only one here.
Oh, Paul.
Paul, come on up. You don't need my approval to come to the podium.
Thank you. Paul Strada, 58 Argus Drive. A few things I want to bring up. It was mentioned about the guidelines or laws or amendments regarding Airbnbs. I know that house was sold. I went by it. I see a sold sign on it. When is that going to happen?
Well,
We still have an open, or is that closed?
well, it depends what we're going to do. So I think there were some knee-jerk reactions to let's just ban Airbnbs for a year while we figure this out. In fact, I know there were, I drafted a law that said that, and then we realized that might adversely impact some residents who are properly engaging in the short-term rental process. And we really drilled down on this one residence being the problem house. A sold sign doesn't mean it's closed.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean it's not going to continue to be rented out. So I think we're going to proceed with Plan A and have this mechanism in place for problematic houses. And we're going to continue to work on what a good law would be to regulate short-term rentals.
Okay. And while I've got your attention, what about the solar farm? Is that going to be operational this coming?
I think their plan is to,
They changed the date on it, it's 2023.
right, but I think
2023.
their plan is to get really busy on that as soon as it warms up. Like, they're ready to go, they got their permit squared away, right, Don? No?
What else?
What are we waiting on?
I don't believe I got the plans from them yet.
Check with
Okay.
Peter.
Every indication to me from when we last looked at this a couple months ago is that they would have shovels in the ground as soon as it was warm enough to do so. Hopefully it's moving along. They certainly paid us for it, and then we approved a lease for the lower parcel, so I don't know why you'd lease that land if you're not gonna do it.
One other thing I wanted to mention on the police report, you said there was one stolen vehicle. Did we have two stolen vehicles on Panora Street, and one of them?
Those were in the town of Lancaster on Panora.
Town of Lancaster, okay. Just
It's
wanted to
also in
double check.
February.
Pardon?
He was given the January report, so it wouldn't have been on
Okay.
there anyway.
All right,
Yeah, they said on the news they're from Depew, but they're the town of Lancaster side of Panora.
okay, thank you. And just for general information, this weekend is the Lancaster musical play at the high school, Thursday through Sunday. They're doing Beauty and the Beast this year. My son gets hired every year to design the set and get a couple dozen kids involved in painting the set. So it's the production that they put on is phenomenal. You wouldn't think that it was a high school play, but I just want to promote that. Last year they did Catch Me If You Can, and they won a Kenny Award for their set design and performance, which is quite outstanding honor. So, and I've watched the rehearsals and everything this year. It's a phenomenal job. Very cheap entertainment locally.
Been to them all, Paul. My kids were both involved heavily with
Yeah.
music department, so it is a great production. In fact, I think it even came back a lot sooner, this production, than normal in the cycle, because I think it was 2011 maybe the last time they did it.
Yeah.
So usually it's like 15 years or so.
Well, it was 9 years ago that.
Was it
that
9?
Beauty
Okay.
and the Beast, yeah.
So 9 would have made, that would have been my son's graduating year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was 9 years before that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Double check. on that.
Great.
All right, well, thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Yep.
Anybody else? Yes, Regina.
We have one comment from the very start of the meeting.
Go ahead.
There's a question on what road work is going on A Street. The sign just went up today. If anybody knows what road work is going on A
That's
Street.
probably the work that they're doing on Borden. That's actually Erie County Sewer. I'm sure that's for that.
So across the street from A Street.
Yes.
I was on A Street today, I didn't see any
No,
signage.
I'm sure it's for that.
It's county sewer project.
Yeah, Erie County Sewer.
All set?
That's it.
Okay. All right, I will entertain claims and accounts.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, the claims and accounts have been audited by the Finance Committee and are approved for payment as follows.
General 10, general fund, $362,565.71. 30, community development, 0. 50, sewer fund, $43,438.94. 80, capital projects, $12,250.46, for a total of $418,255.11.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried. And lastly is the adjournment.
Honorable Mayor and Board of Trustees, I make the following motion and move for adjournment after a moment of silence for the lives we have recently lost. Terry Wakowiak, Village Administrator. Thelma Dabb, mother-in-law of Marisa Dabb. Planning Board Member Bob Morowski's father-in-law, Joseph Baldo. And Joanne Coleman, who is the former clerk and supervisor for the town of Lancaster.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And call the meeting at 7:58.